are live.
Well, bam, jabam, kabam.
Dude, I got some of that chocolate.
Chocolate.
You know what I'm talking about? Chocolate salt.
Chocolat.
Mm-hmm.
Chocolate salt. Is that like my new nickname?
Is there? Is there? It could be.
After a workout.
Mm.
I mean, well,
Ew.
Can I get a
Ew,
hand?
why are you trying to lick me? Sweat,
try or
sodium coming off my body, the chocolate salt.
mm-hmm.
You get it?
Yeah.
You get it?
Yeah, I get it
Mhm.
now.
All right, Daddy. All right, what were you saying?
Well, so one of two things happened. Either you dipped your balls in my coffee after jujitsu yesterday, or I used Elements chocolate. What a great commercial! No wonder
Right?
why they love
Fantastic.
utilizing us.
Oh, man.
What is that?
It's
Pretty
my
good.
ball sweat. But I do have to mention this again because I've mentioned it to you guys. I
Yep.
think I did mention it during the show
People aren't
yesterday.
even listening to you. I
No,
don't think.
nobody cares.
I don't think they do, but well, we'll see if they do now. If you guys get your coffee, the only downside to this is that you might drink your coffee too fast, and that's what I end up doing.
Might be a one sipper.
Yeah. Grab some Coffee Mate, whether you like some fat-free Coffee Mate or the Coffee Mate that has like 20 calories. It doesn't really matter, but grab some Coffee Mate and then use the chocolate element packet. So the chocolate with coffee on its own is good,
Mhm.
but the chocolate with a little bit of a Coffee Mate in your coffee, it's the salt, the sweet, and the bitterness of the coffee.
Oh my.
Oh yeah.
Sounds incredible.
It is good. That's why, like, I always end up finishing this in like 15 minutes. I'm just like, my coffee usually lasts like 2 hours.
Becomes a one sipper. I
Yeah.
got the same
Yep.
thing going on over here. It's amazing.
I just have
Delicious.
just orange in water because to me, as a kid, like I would have like orange juice for breakfast. It's like that's what it tastes like to me now. Like
Oh, yeah.
I just I have like a couple sips and I'm like, there's that orange juice breakfast morning
Mhm.
pick me up type of
Mhm.
feeling.
Well, and when you're dieting and stuff, all these flavors they're amplified times 1,000. You know?
Yeah,
Like somebody else might drink that and be like, "That's not orange juice, bro."
That's true.
That's true, actually.
But we just love these
Good
extra
call.
flavors that we get an opportunity to have because we're on these diets all the time, eating rice and meat and potatoes and things that just don't have tons of pop in terms of, I guess, sweet flavor.
Mhm. Yeah, and if you guys want to dive in to these amazing flavors and the amazing benefits of electrolytes, you can head over to drinklmnt.com/powerproject. Highly recommend the value bundle because you're paying for 3 boxes and you get a 4th one for free. So you can try out multiple flavors, or you can go all in on just like the salty chocolate Nsima flavor.
Chocolate salt.
Yeah, and then if you're not ready to fully dive in, you can still go to drinklmnt.com/powerproject and get the free Element Recharge Pack. All you do is pay for the $5 shipping, and you get 8 samples shipped directly to your door. Really, no more excuses for you guys not to be trying this stuff out.
So I think that this would make Andrew the habanero flavor,
Yeah.
and I unfortunately would be unflavored. I'd be vanilla, right?
Maybe the unflavored element.
Just pure salt.
Well,
Hey, that Mark
maybe-
Bell flavor's not very good.
Wow, I love this.
Andrew's got some spice to him. Though.
Yeah, he does.
I'm down. I like it.
Daddy's got some spice.
Yeah,
All right.
buddy.
All right, I'm only going to call you Daddy twice on this episode.
All right.
That was 3
That was
times.
3 times.
Yeah.
Well, no,
we
that
might
was
be able
just
to.
finding.
We have to round it out. So
It's
sooner or
weird
later,
that
it's going to
Nsima
get
gets
to 5.
excited about it.
So do I.
Well, we were having a conversation about men's nipple piercings before the episode started, but let's not go down
it
that
was a
rabbit
little
hole
bit too
again.
in depth too.
Yeah,
I
I've
was
had a lot of
surprised.
thoughts about
The
that.
rabbit hole.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
I can't
Oh.
wait to
What?
can't wait to
Stop.
join your subreddit. I'll be on there later today checking that out.
Okay, I know we have to get to the focus of this episode,
No, we don't.
but there was something that I was looking at yesterday, and I just, how when they draw kangaroos, they just draw them. Okay,
Hold
I
on.
know.
Nobody draws kangaroos. What are you
Like,
talking
okay,
about?
and like when you see kangaroos in cartoons, or
Okay.
I
like,
can't draw a kangaroo.
remember Kangaroo Jack the movie?
Oh yeah.
You remember?
No.
And they had the pouches like,
Yeah,
it
the
was like,
marsupial pouch.
it just looked like a normal pouch. But you watch a kangaroo documentary thing, that pouch is a hole. Like it's a little like, and yeah, the baby's
on.
coming, chilling there, whatever. But it's not like neat.
Right,
I
right.
always used to think the kangaroo pouch was like, there's my baby.
Like it's a fanny pack.
Like it's a fanny pack. But it's literally just like this weird looking, you see.
Oh.
I've just blown so many minds with this
Yeah,
right
it's
now.
gross looking,
It's
yeah.
disgusting
That's
looking.
really gross.
Yeah. Yeah.
What is that?
Marsupial pouch, man. Koalas have it too.
They do?
Yeah, koala bear.
Ew.
Do you know that guy on Instagram who's
No.
like, I have to
don't
find his
know.
page, but he'll show
I wonder
a
what they
video.
can do in there. I wonder if they can like eat in there and shit.
I've only, but that's cute. I mean, you guys
Yeah.
like a little.
But like,
Do they give birth out of the pouch?
no, it's just showing like like a see-through version of what they're doing there. It's like there's a head sticking out.
Dude, kangaroos are strange. They're jacked too.
Oh, I forgot.
What about the ones with the big pecs? You ever seen the ones with the big pecs?
Yeah. Like again.
Why are they always boxing people too? Why do they have
Always
boxing
fucking
clothes
people
on?
up.
You know what's so funny
Where the
about
fuck did that come from?
dude? When you watch kangaroo boxing videos, you know those guys that are on the street, and you guys have to be watching video to see this. But when they start fighting, they're just like this, right?
all
That's
the homies.
all the homies, right? That is how kangaroos box, because they'll go like this, right? And I was just like, I've seen this in high school. Like,
Yeah, when someone has no idea how to fight,
Did you see the
close
one
their eyes
where,
and helicopter.
where like the kangaroo had like this guy's dog in like a headlock?
oh, that made me so sad.
Dude, but you
I think
saw
I remember
that,
that,
right?
yeah.
But then the guy came and he just gave him a left hook.
Yeah.
And then the kangaroo was like, "Whoa, what the? All right, dude, calm down. I didn't know that was your homie. Like I didn't know that was your pet. So
But yeah, that kangaroo ripped up that dog. That
I,
was so
when
sad.
I went to Australia, I was like, I want to see a kangaroo. They're like, no, you don't. And I was like, I do. They're like, no, they're fucking stupid. They're like, you'll be so pissed at them by the time you leave here. He's like, they're pieces of shit. They're everywhere, and you know, like, he's just saying how they're like a big nuisance. I'm like, I just want to see one, man.
Wow. I wouldn't have expected that. I feel like kangaroos look like, especially the big ones that you see, they look like too big.
Yeah.
Like if I'm correct, they look like they're like 7 feet.
They look huge.
That's frightening,
Yeah, I don't know how tall they are.
right? Like, and
They
like,
use their tail for shit, or is that like myth? You know, is that like cartoon myth?
well, I
Are
saw
they
the
wacky with the tail?
yeah, no, I saw the fighting thing, and so like when they're fighting like this,
They can jump back on their tail.
they'll jump back on their tail and they'll kick. But
So
it's insane.
Imagine getting kicked by one of those things.
You'd die.
You got huge legs.
yeah, average kangaroo 4.9 feet tall, but then large mature males can stand 5.9 feet.
Oh,
Wow.
okay, I'm
That's
tripping.
still
So
tall
it's
though.
like,
As fuck.
it's tall for an animal.
5'9".
It's tall for an animal.
So
like that.
the largest being around 6'9". So that's fucking crazy.
You don't meet
6'9".
Nah, man, that's a basketball player. You don't
It's
meet
like
that
LeBron
big.
Dude,
James.
Yeah.
oh my god, they're jacked.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, they-
Yeah.
What the
And the way they stand too, they're like,
dude?
it's like they're trying to do a freaking most muscular.
Because we're very close. Hopefully, I don't get slapped, but he kind of stands like Nate Diaz.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, winging the shoulders out.
Yeah, dude, look at that guy.
Yeah, man. See, no, picture meeting a 6'9" version of that thing. No, just like no, I don't
even
want
know what
to.
that
No,
The
that's
Yeah, I don't know
scary.
why the people I was with hated him so much, but
fuck? Dude.
Yeah.
whoa, that guy's really on some shit.
Welcome to the Kangaroo Podcast, everybody.
Animals are weird. My son was telling me the other day about koala bears and how, or koalas. They're not bears, I guess. They're just koalas.
Okay.
That guy.
But my son was telling me how dumb they are. He's like, it's like one of the dumbest animals. I'm like, how do they know how dumb it is? He's like, I don't know. They're stupid.
And then don't they have like a?
They can die very easily, I guess. I guess if you were to take, I think they eat like eucalyptus leaves or something.
But I think they have like a STD.
Yeah, they have STDs. Yeah, if you put eucalyptus leaves supposedly like on the ground, they like won't eat them because they don't recognize it as food. They
It
are
has to
used
come from the
they're
tree.
used to getting it from the tree or whatever.
Oh wow.
And they're really slow and stuff. I'm like, what the? Like, what is the point in some of these things, right? I mean, they're cute.
Exactly. I
They're
think that's the point.
Yeah, they're adorable.
I think they're just adorable little
They
animals.
look like
now.
little Ewoks or something, you know?
Huh?
Or
Koalas-
Ewok looks like a koala, maybe. I don't know.
A lot of people are gonna like hate me for saying this, but I think that'd be a great pet, a koala.
Oh yeah.
Because like it can't do shit for itself.
No, I don't think so.
Right? Just feed it.
I don't know what the rules are on pets. I've heard people talk about like tortoises and stuff, but I heard that, you know, if you buy a tortoise when it's like young, like you never get to see it really grow much because they live to be like 200 something years old. So a tortoise
Wow.
can be like this, like almost the size of this table, I think.
Right? Yeah, they can get huge.
But you'd have to buy like a 100-year-old turtle to ever see it mature to like this, you know, if you had it for 30 years or something like that. But
Whoa.
I guess people have it like in their family sometimes
Yeah.
and they pass it down, which is kind of neat.
That
I don't know.
is.
But I don't know what the fuck you do with it.
Just have a massive tank and
Fucking.
let it swim around.
I think I might have mentioned this before. I started like I had so many questions about like a tortoise, and my kids got mad at me because they're like, it's not a turtle. And I'm like, well, what the fuck's the difference? They're like, it's
Oh
nothing
my
like a
God.
turtle. And I don't even know. It just doesn't like a turtle. I guess like lives in the water more. A tortoise. There's like desert tortoises that don't. So like if I had a tortoise, like I could have a tortoise like in my backyard.
Yeah.
For example, like out in Dixon where it's all like dry.
Dude, okay. We learn something new on the podcast every day because I thought a turtle and a tortoise was the same thing.
So did I.
Oh, God.
Turtles can be aquatic, semi-aquatic, or mostly terrestrial. Tortoises are turtles that live on land and aren't equipped for water.
Wow. So tortoises are the bigger ones.
They are turtles, though, huh?
Wow.
But they're just not equipped for the water.
Which is the bigger one?
Do you remember that video?
How can they not be equipped for water? They look like it. They look the same.
Turtles are generally larger than tortoises.
Oh,
tortoises.
So turtles are the bigger ones.
Can a tortoise swim in water? They cannot.
Can a turtle or a tortoise swim in water? I'm getting confused now. Turtles can swim in water.
Yes.
Tortoises cannot.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. That's
cool. You remember that video in like 2010? I remember I was in high school. It was just stupid, but it was this kid like, I like turtles. Remember that?
No.
I don't
No?
No.
It's some video that went viral.
It's just a viral video back in the day, and everyone in high school was like, I like turtles. Because he's like this kid who's like, I like turtles. Yeah, you got to look it up one day.
Chipotle is my life.
Yeah.
Remember that one?
I remember that one. Oh, God. Oh,
Memes.
God. Why did this one come to mind? I think
Smokey made a meme the other day, I heard.
Yeah, he did.
He has that new style of creating a meme is going to be huge. I'm not going to talk about it, but
I want to, but
proprietary.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, if Smokey wants to do something with that, I feel like he could. But if we say it now on air, one of our listeners is going to be like, I'm going to do that now. Sorry, guys.
My parents used to do that a lot with like photo albums and stuff. They would kind of make almost like memes.
Yeah.
Really silly. But amazing when you go, especially when you go back and look at something like 10 years later. Kind of neat.
That's cool. All right, wait. Do we want to get to our topic today?
What were you going to say?
Do we have a topic?
Do we have a topic?
I don't know.
Do we
I
have
didn't
a
see the
show?
script.
Huh?
So do we have a show still?
We're part of that cancel culture.
Oh, no.
I was going to mention one more
The cancel
thing.
culture podcast.
On the note of cancel culture, do you guys remember that thing that went viral? Like, I think I was in college, but it was this white girl, and she was talking about Asian people. And do you remember, like, on video, she's like, Ching chong ling wong ting tong. Do you remember that?
I've never seen that.
No.
You don't remember her?
No.
Oh my God. That was like okay. So obviously it's not nice of her to say, but she was talking about Asian people on like Skype and somebody recorded it. And she was like, she said, oh, those ching chong ling wong ting tongs. And she went viral for that. She got expelled and all this shit happened. But just because we were talking about old viral shit, it came to mind. Cancel culture also, you know. I don't believe that, by the way. I have to clarify. I do not agree with the sentiments of this woman, since some people are going to be like, ugh.
Hey, man, when somebody's speaking in a foreign language, it trips you out. You're like, I do not know what they just said.
Yeah. It's like they're communicating, but like those are just sounds to me, right?
Yeah.
Like it's hard, but
Oh, man.
I mean, shit, that's how I feel like this watching a novela in Spanish. Like, I speak Spanish, I can understand it, but if you're going way too fast on TV, I can't make the connection. Same thing on a phone. I can't talk to anybody in Spanish on the phone.
Just how it be.
I have to see them. It's weird.
Cool. All right. So, what we were going to talk about, what we might talk about, is attention. Are you guys paying attention? Listeners paying attention?
I can't afford it, bro.
What?
Can't afford to pay attention. How much does it cost?
$3.99.
You got a payment plan?
Okay.
It's free, Andrew. I just told you.
Free installments of $3.99.
What's the interest rates? There's always
$3.95.
something.
3.25.
Oh, shit. It's pretty good.
It's pretty decent, right?
Can I refinance in a couple years?
No.
Okay, so you're locked in.
You're locked in for life.
Okay.
You
I gotta talk to my wife and then run it by her.
All right.
She's gonna say no.
But yeah, no, it's just like
That's what they do.
The past few. Is this podcast going to be on before Brian McKenzie's come on?
So this one goes up Tuesday.
Tuesday.
Yeah.
All right, so you guys already listened to Brian McKenzie's podcast.
Except on YouTube. They're watching it right now, so they haven't seen Brian Mac.
Well, you guys haven't heard BMAC on YouTube. But for those of you listening on Tuesday, you heard BMAC talk about attention to breath and the importance. And there was a lot of attention concepts in that episode. And then we also had Stephen Kotler on, and he was talking about Flow follows focus. Pretty much flow, being in the flow state, being able to do something at a very high peak performance level, that follows attention, right? And then we've talked about on the podcast all the time, like paying attention to your diet, like guarding your inputs, having your attention really, like having focused attention on something. But like there's this just common through line on how big of a deal that is. It's like we have so many things that we're paying attention through the day that maybe just have us go into zombie mode. And I've caught myself with this before. There have been maybe certain weeks where I wasn't paying attention to things I should be, right? And then I'd be scrolling through YouTube in zombie mode, just watching random videos. And then when I get myself back to what I should be doing, when I get myself focused with good attention on the things that I want to do and the things that I'm focusing on, maybe I'll pull up YouTube and then immediately I'll catch myself and say, why the fuck am I watching this video? Like this has nothing to do with anything I'm interested in, anything I'm trying to do. It's literally wasting my time. But if you have a lack of attention, you're going through life like a zombie and you don't even realize it. Like real talk.
Mm-hmm. You're just letting it kind of play in the background. One thing that BMAC talked about was I liked how he kept everything simple, and we talked about devices that can help you breathe, and we talked about a couple things, and he even has an app that's going to be coming out soon that he's real happy about, real excited about. And there's a lot of apps that talk about how to breathe, how to relax, and different things, but he was like, you're just already equipped with it. It's already on your face. He's like, it's called your nose, and you pay attention to that. You give attention to that. You give time to that. And anytime, I thought probably the most useful thing that I've heard in a while was him saying two things. One was work on some nasal breathing for about a month. Do it when you walk, do it while you train, commit to it. Like actually commit to it. Like don't just nasal breathe and be like, these sets are hard, and then just start breathing normal. I did it yesterday during my training session. I did some deadlifts, supersetted with the sled pull, and it was great. And I had to stop a couple times because I'm like, I'm going to breathe in and out of my mouth and at any second. So I'm going to slow it down a little bit and continue onward. But when he talked about paying attention to your breath and just having attention to it being like the most important thing, I thought that was great, because if you're just having awareness of it. This morning when I was kind of getting ready to like go on a walk with my dad and stuff, I was just thinking of like a handful of things I needed to do today. And my brain for a half second got a little scrambled, and I was like, how am I going to fit all that in? And then I was like, oh, breathe, and then I worked my way through it. I'm like, okay, you have 2 podcasts to do. That's not that big of a deal. If you have time for it, you can shoot some extra content for YouTube. And you lifted yesterday. If you have an opportunity to lift and you're feeling it, go in and lift. And so I just recalibrated it all just through some breathing, and I was totally fine.
Yeah.
Did you like, I hear compartmentalize, like you got to compartmentalize this, blah, blah, blah. Like, do you ever kind of mess with that sort of thing? Like, did you be like, okay, well, I do have 2 podcasts. One's going to start at this time. I'm just going to worry about that one right now, or just put some attention on that one right now. And then did you block out the second one?
Yeah, I think rather than maybe compartmentalizing, you can just put facts. Just place in the facts, like replace your feelings with facts. Like what are the facts? How long does it take to do a 10-minute walk? It takes at least 10 minutes. How long does it take to do 30 minutes of cardio? It takes at least 30 minutes. How long does it take to do our podcast? Anywhere between 90 minutes and 2 hours. And sometimes the whole process of us just getting ready and situated and so on might take a little bit longer. So those are just the facts, and there's no reason to get spun up about it. There's no reason to get really worried about it. I know in advance how long they take. We all are aware of it. And there's 3 of us, right? So we have to adhere to each other's schedule. We have to work together on it. And those are all just facts, So I can't really worry about, whether the show starts exactly at this. I'm not that kind of person anyway. And I think it works out well because I don't think any one of us are, luckily. So we can just chill, and we're all pretty lax, and it doesn't seem to matter a ton. We have a schedule, but we're not like real crazy about it. We follow it the best that we can. But yeah, I like to, rather than like compartmentalizing, rather than like taking something and just kind of putting it in a different category and maybe not paying attention to that for a minute. Or I think sometimes overlooking what you have to do today in order to try to get to where you're thinking about going tomorrow. I take each individual thing on the best I can, and I just try to place facts to it. You know, what's the information here? Even with like COVID-19 or anything, like what are, and that gets to be tricky because there's facts and there's beliefs, right? Yeah. And then they get mixed up. But what we can all agree upon is there's a virus. It's killed a lot of people. It's going to continue to kill a lot of people. There's like more people will die from the coronavirus in the next couple months, in the next couple weeks. Like those are all facts. What can I do about it? I don't think I personally can really do anything about it. I guess I can wash my hands. I can practice some social distancing. I can wear a mask. You know, those are all things that we can argue about how effective they are or how effective they aren't. But those are all things that I can at least attempt. And that's the information that we have now. Like that's the best that we can do at the moment. And that's not up to me. That's just been, handed down from like our government, I guess.
Yeah.
And so you just try to think about what are the facts. Okay, well, the facts are, it seems like healthy people are surviving pretty well. Maybe I can work on being a healthier person. Maybe I can work on being less stressed. Maybe I can, what are the things that you can do? What are the things that are in your control? I think we tend to get thrown off course a little bit when we start to worry. Worry is, you want to be a warrior, not a worrier. Being worried about stuff can cause a lot of stress. And usually there's either something that you can do about it, which would be more factual, and a lot of times there's nothing that you can do about it. I always think the only thing that you can really do much of anything about is to take care of yourself. Because I don't know how to take care of everybody else. Like I barely know how to handle myself. But if I can help improve myself, help make myself better, help make myself more open to other people's ideas, other people's culture, other people's influence, and be open-minded towards those things, I think that can be helpful. But other than that, I don't know how to help, everybody else. So I think that worrying about things that you can control or being worried about things you can't control, I think either way, both of those things end up being part of an irrational thought pattern that you end up with a lot of feelings attached to that. And I think in the long run, one of the best things you can do for yourself is to have more responsible feelings, like educate your feelings. Your feelings should have some, rather than your feelings having, so much sadness or happiness attached to them, you might want to also try to attach some facts to them. Like, this is just where I'm at. Like, I'm not a loser because I'm a drunk. I need to fix this situation. What are the facts? How can I get myself out of this hole? What are some things I can do today? The only thing you can do is stop drinking, right? But you can't beat yourself up about it. Placing that worry on it isn't necessarily helpful because it's just further stressing your system out.
Absolutely. And there's a lot of layers to that because like when you mentioned, and paying attention to what's going on with like, COVID, right? Well, if you're paying attention to the news and you're watching a lot of that, automatically you'll end up being very, very worried because a lot of that stuff are hand-picked facts about what's going on, right? So you think you're getting facts and all these facts are horrible and now it's making you worry of you yourself getting it. And it's just, it's rough. So like, you really have to,
Well, I don't know.
that was loud.
That was loud.
But yeah, like first off, it's like we had the episode about not really paying much attention to the news in and of itself because it is structured to make you fear, right? But then making sure that you're like a lot of the podcasts we've had individuals on that have come in and talked about it, that have come on and put up statistics that honestly, that's a big reason why us in this room, we're not worried, right? If people we knew that do pay attention to facts came on and told us a lot of crazy, wild things that like were true, okay, maybe like we'd be like, oh shit, all right. But the reason we're not worried is because personally we feel that we're educated on how to keep ourselves and our families safe. and there's nothing to worry about. But if you're not paying attention to that, and you're not educating yourself, and you're not paying attention to the right things, that's why, like, yeah, I hate to say, I got people in my family who are always sending me like videos about COVID and sending me texts like, hope you're being careful, or this and that, and have anxiety about it because they're just getting some really kind of facts from news outlets that are worrying them a lot.
Yeah, well, they're getting scared, like the scare tactics.
Scare
right?
tactic.
And one thing we've said this a long time ago about something else, completely not even relevant to this, but you know, a lot. I don't think people understand when you do watch, you know, like X amount of people, you know, die from this or that. They see that, they're like, oh damn, that's crazy. A little bit of weight goes onto their like your imaginary backpack, you know, or on their shoulders or something. Then they watch another one, like there's another little bit of weight on you, and then like all these like little tiny pebbles of stacks, they're all stacking up on your back now.
Yeah.
And now the next time any tiny little stressful situation happens, you're just going crazy. Yeah, I think because like news outlets and just watching TV is just so normal that people don't think it is actually doing something to them.
Yeah.
And then to your point, like if we did hear somebody say something outlandish or like, oh my gosh, like there is a new strain of the virus, and like, damn, like, okay, we wouldn't all of a sudden run out and tell everybody that. We'd probably text somebody that knows a lot more about it than us. We wouldn't just take it for face value.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody's doing that. They're just seeing the headline on the news outlets and being like, that's fact.
Well, and again, just go back to, you know, what's knowable at the moment. It doesn't seem like there's a lot of things that are like truly knowable at the moment because we get such different information. But it does appear that if you're a healthier person, that you almost get a hall pass past this thing. I think there was a woman the other day, 113 years old, the oldest woman on the planet. She had COVID and she got through it. I mean, obviously, this is a woman that is healthier than the rest of us. She's figured out a way to live, you know, over 100 years. So you have to always, it's really hard to do in life. It's hard to go back to the basics. Somebody says, hey, what do I got to do to get stronger? You know, what? Just flat out tell me, man, what do I got to do to get stronger? Well, think about the things that have worked over the years to help people get stronger. One of the first things that comes to mind that people never talk about is just gaining some weight. And then it also talks about what you're thinking about getting stronger on. Because if we're talking about pull-ups, well, now you have to lose weight.
Yeah.
You know, it depends on what you're talking about. But if we're talking about, you know, your bench press, your squat, your deadlift, gaining weight is a great way to do it. And then how have other people over the years gotten stronger? Singles, triples, doubles, a partial range of motion movements. You stick to the things that have worked. You stick to the things that make the most sense. But in your everyday life, man, it's really tough to get yourself back to those basics. And you almost don't see a lot of your own flaws, a lot of the things that you're doing to kind of sabotage yourself. And that kind of gets us into this topic of, you know, positive and negative. Like I realize that nothing is neither positive or negative until you like label it. You internalize it, you interpret it. You're looking through your feed, right? These are things that are like fed to you via your social media. Something that's fed to you, once it's fed to you, you can't throw it back up. Well, I guess you could throw it back up, but in this case you can't because it's in your mind. It's trapped in there.
Yeah.
You saw an image, you saw something that you didn't like, and you determined that that thing didn't flow well with your religion or your politics or whatever, and it gets you all stirred up. You don't think about it a ton, maybe it doesn't like, you know, kill you or hurt your feelings that much, but it annoys you. You go on to the next thing gets you stirred up, maybe in a different direction and so forth. And these are all things that get to be very hard to unwind. And in today's show, we're kind of talking about, you know, the way that you can kind of self-actualize things to happen, the way that you can utilize the law of attraction to help benefit you. But in addition to that, let's talk for a minute about trying to like block shit out. We talked just briefly about not watching the news, which can be a great idea at the moment because it can get you worked up and you can be getting cherry-picked facts that maybe aren't telling the full story. Maybe it's just giving you parts of the story that these people want you to hear for who the hell knows why. And so that part of it, I think, is the hardest part. I think being a little bit positive here and there and saying like, one day I want to be a doctor, and then kind of thinking about the things that you want to do to be a doctor. That doesn't seem that difficult to keep your eye on. To stay locked onto that for a long time would be really hard. And that is really hard. And that's why there's, so few people that are able to accomplish such a thing. But the negative side, to me, that's the harder part. And that's the part that distracts you. And that's the part that ends up pulling away from you being able to self-actualize what it is that you intended to do in the first place. Because your time, you're paying attention to the negative too much. And it might not even seem negative. It's just taking up your time.
Yeah. Like I said, you'll be, or I'll be, like looking at, scrolling through videos, and I'll see something on my suggested YouTube feed, and I'll press it, play it, and a minute in, I'm like, wait, why am I watching this? What is this helping with? Why am I even vaguely interested in this? I'm not. This doesn't help anything. Then I'll X out of it. So that like, it's like and even your social media feed. I mean, to be perfectly honest, you mentioned something, right? Like you'll see something that stresses you out. I think the episode with Brian McKenzie was really good because like, yeah, if it stresses you out, first off, be able to pay attention to the fact that that's getting you stressed out. Pay attention to your breathing and bring yourself back. I think that in itself is more powerful than always just like getting things out of your life or whatever, right? Having the personal responsibility to audit yourself and the way you feel about things, controlling your breath, controlling the way you react. But on top of that, it's like where was I trying to go with this? There were so many things that we were just mentioning.
Well, in regards to like, I think where you're going with this is whatever your mind is focused on is what you're going to find. So, imagine you are thinking about the negative things or the what ifs, the You know what I mean? Like, like
that's where it was. Yeah, that's where we're going. You're right. Go ahead.
No, just that, like whether it's, COVID or just even working out, like, we talked about yesterday, like, it's only a matter of time before I pull something or I snap something. And what happens? That happens because your mind kind of almost, what's the word?
Manifests.
Yeah. That's kind of what I was getting at. But, and that's where it, if you're focusing on it, whatever you're looking for, you're going to find it.
Yeah. And that's the thing. It's like, that's where we have to audit the way, not just like our goals and all of that, because that's necessary. You have to have an understanding of what you're trying to do and what you're trying to achieve. But you also have to audit the way that you speak to yourself about that. You have to be like, okay, well, you're trying to lose weight. Don't negatively talk about yourself saying, I'm a fat ass, or damn, I'm so fat and I need to do this. Don't do that, because like you're now focusing on that negative aspect of things. Speak well to yourself, speak positively towards your goals, because that negative idea or that negative self-talk in and of itself has an effect on the way you actually feel about yourself and the confidence that you have in yourself, which that attention and that lack of confidence is going to have an effect on the way you actually go about going towards your goals. You have to shift that somehow. And it's a difficult thing to do. And
it's how your goals will react to you. Like when you're saying like, oh, I'm lazy, whatever it is, you're putting yourself down. We won't go into this, but if you say that around your kids, my goodness, like that's all bad. I don't even like, to this day now, like I don't even like having like my daughter catch me yawning because one day she mentioned, she's like, oh, you're always tired. I'm like, fuck. Like I'm trying. Okay. So now it's like that'll crush you, but don't do it to yourself before they can, you know what I mean?
That's a great example, just something as simple as like yawning and not wanting to, like, you want your kid to think that you go to work, you help provide for the family, but you don't want them to think it's like any extra like undue stress. It's going to like put you in the hospital or something like that.
Right, yeah.
And not that yawning is going to put you in the hospital, but you don't want to like show a lot of signs of, you worked your ass off for today. You got your training done. You got all your stuff done. And now you don't have enough for the family when you come home. Like that's the worst message, right? But then what are the facts? Like what's a way that you could work on, fixing that? You can work on having better sleep hygiene. You can say, you know what, I need to be a little bit more strict because I that's not a great example for my daughter to be fatigued like that. And obviously, it's still going to happen here and there. It's totally fine for things like that to happen, and it's important that she sees that it isn't just no sweat all the time. You know, that it does carry some weight to it, but rather than having so much feeling to it and feeling bad about it, you can just say, well, what are the facts? You know, and am I willing to make those sacrifices to have a little bit better sleep hygiene? You know, I think some of this stuff gets to be really confusing too, because you have this like goal. You know, you're trying to be goal oriented, and you're trying to think, you know, here's the end result. Like I know that I want to go towards this. And I was talking to somebody the other day, and they did a great job. They lost about they lost about 40 pounds.
Wow.
Maybe even more, like 50 pounds in about 8 months. And they just made a wonderful transformation. And we got talking, and I said, you know, so this person was kind of frustrated because they were very stuck, and they went off their diet for the last maybe month or so. And they were kind of taking like a diet break without really calling it a diet break, which I think is a mistake. I think you're better off just saying, hey, look, I'm just taking a little bit of a break. And then even set up rules for your break, so it's not, you know, so you don't rebound and go backwards too much. And they were saying how they needed a challenge, and we talked about that on the show. We talked about having a challenge, having competition. People don't have competition at the moment, and so it's harder for people. People are probably falling off a little bit at jiu-jitsu. The numbers are probably down a little bit. There's probably only the truly hardcore are still sticking it out, and they don't care about, you know, the ones that don't necessarily have to have competition lined up in order to better themselves. And so as we started to kind of unpack some of this stuff, and we started to, you know, unravel it, I said, well, what got you going in the first place? And they were like, well, I was just so fat. Like I was fucking fat. Like I admitted to myself, like, you're way too fat. They didn't like the way their clothes fit and so forth. And they just felt like they were unhealthy too, and they needed to make a change. And I said, okay, well, how do you feel now? Are you happy with your body? You know, you feel really good about it? And they were like, no. And I was like, okay, well, it sounds to me like you already have everything within you that you need. Like it's already sitting there inside, because you already showed yourself that you know how to do it. So I said, I don't really think I would encourage any challenge that you could find like that. That would be great. But things like a bodybuilding show or a powerlifting meet, while they're great, you increase your strength for a little bit, and then the next day it's gone. And in this person's case, you know, they were talking about, you know, weighing a certain weight. I said, if you had a goal to weigh a certain weight by a certain time, I'm sure that you can achieve it, but you're also really not that weight. It's not like your true weight, most likely, because in most cases, if you were to get down to, let's say somebody wanted to weigh like 150 pounds. They got down to 150 pounds on this specific date. And like, hey, congratulations. You know, here's $20 or whatever, you know, you give them an award or whatever. You take photos or photo shoot or something, right? They only weigh that for that day. That's it. And maybe even only for a few moments, maybe just for a few hours. And then, you know, and then what? That's always the thing, is you want to try to think about, you know, what are you actually trying to do? Because when I go back to the basics, I always have to think about this quote. You're only as happy as you make up your mind to be. Wherever you're at right now versus whatever your goal is, achieving the goal will not necessarily make you a lot happier. I think you think that it will. I think that you're thinking you're going to lose a bunch of weight, and everyone's going to notice. It's going to be the biggest deal. And you're going to feel amazing about yourself. And some of that can be true, but that whole process would take a really, really long time. And it's not necessarily the end result that makes you feel good. It's the whole process in itself. People talk about the journey, right? But it's all the times that you said no. It's all the times you said no to a drink. It's all the times you said no to eating candy. It's all the times you said no to eating ice cream and pizza and all these other things that were interrupting your life. They were interrupting your progress. Those things will make you feel better about yourself. But this idea of like, I know that if I'm wealthy, that it's going to, change my life forever. And I know that it's going to, provide all this happiness for me.
Mm-hmm.
That's not necessarily so. I know a lot of people that weren't happy before they had money. Now they have money and they're still the same. They still have a couple of the holes that were just never filled for whatever reason. So I think in trying to have these big goals and trying to, put these big dreams out there in the universe, I think it's great because it does give you a goal, and I think it helps pull you towards those goals. But I think what you're dreaming up in your head, that it's going to somehow make you a lot happier, it might not necessarily do so. In fact, it may make you a little bit more miserable because there's so much fucking involved in it. It takes a lot to try to quote unquote try to be good, and to try to be great is even worse. So it's all just stuff to have some awareness about.
Let me ask you this. Let's say when it comes to like that specific individual, when a lot of people have these goals as far as fitness is concerned, some people are like, okay, I want to weigh this certain weight by this time. And I think by this time part makes it even more difficult, because then you start manipulating a lot of things unnecessarily. But then there's the people that are like, okay, I want to look this way, right? But that in itself is a little bit risky, because like if you're using somebody else's, picture or whatever as like, you want to look like this, well, shoot, everybody's different. You might not look anything like that person when you get there.
Right.
So that's another like off goal. But I feel like you got to be very clear, and not necessarily, I like the idea of having goals that feel and seem that they're out of reach currently. I do like that. So I don't feel like it has to be totally realistic, but like, if there is something you want to fit into, I feel like that's a good, as far as fitness is concerned, that is a healthy goal to set for yourself. Like I bought these clothes, and at a certain point, I want to be able to, I don't know how long it's going to take me. I don't know if it's going to take me a year or 2 years or whatever. I want to be able to fit into this dress. I want to be able to fit into these pants and this shirt, right? And then as that being the focus, like at the point that you get there, let's say that you do get there, that is achievable, that is possible, but it's also a big goal. And the whole idea of attention that we're talking about is when you set that goal, right? And I feel like that's a healthier goal, like wanting to fit into a certain size clothes or whatever. All the little things that you start paying attention to and doing in your life kind of will end up following that without you realizing it. Like you'll start taking better actions as far as food is concerned. You'll start making better choices as far as your workouts. You'll start just being more attentive to that, because that is your specific goal. And I mean, going back to Koala, because I was thinking about this today, where he said, flow follows focus, right? When we look at like ourselves as far as dieting is concerned, right? We've been doing it for so long that it almost seems like it's not like we've achieved a flow state with the diet, but we make all these actions and decisions subconsciously, me, yourself, and even Andrew, that are continuing to lead us towards our physical goals, even though we're not thinking about it constantly anymore, just because we've been like, that's been something we've been focused. We've been practicing it for a long time. So when people like are like, oh, what do you eat every day or whatever, it could be different. But at the end of the day, like conceptually, like it's all of these good decisions that we're not even thinking about anymore, just because we've been focused on making sure that we're healthy, making sure that we're in shape, making sure that we're performing at a good level, and everything else followed that focus. Everything followed that attention.
Right. I think that's awesome. I liked what you said in the beginning of that when you talked about putting a time on it and trying to lose weight, and you end up manipulating things unnecessarily. And I think that's the whole point of the hat that I came out with that says try, and it's got it crossed out, because I actually think that most people are kind of trying too hard. I think that I think it's really not about trying necessarily. It's about doing. And I understand the context in which people are using the word try. They're basically saying like, I gave this a shot. I tried that particular diet. But it's not really about trying it. It's about executing. It's about doing it, doing it day in, day out, and having you want to have your results really overpower the instant gratification, and your results, they take time. Results take a while. For someone to notice that your arms got bigger, shit, that might take a long time, right? To fill out the sleeves of your XL shirt or your large shirt or whatever it is, that might take years. But what does that mean? What does that mean? Where are you spending your time? It means you're spending your time curling dumbbells or curling a barbell of some sort.
Mm-hmm.
You're putting your energy into that. It's not about necessarily trying. It's about you're actually doing. You're gonna try to curl twice a week. No, you need to curl twice a week. Like this is how it works. There's other people that have different methods and different techniques, but for the most part, we see people with big arms. They usually work them twice a week.
Mm-hmm.
They're not trying to get into a routine of doing it twice a week. They do it twice a week, and they do it for a really long time. And then you end up looking like C.T. Fletcher or something like that.
And then at some point, like people are like, "How did you do that?" It's like it's just something I do. Like it's something that I've done for a long time, and it works. But it's because they've done it over and over and over again.
Anderson Silva, they had a documentary on him, and I was like, I'm checking it out. I'm a huge Anderson Silva fan, and they go to his house, and he's got nice cars, he's got all these nice things, and they're like, "How did this happen?" He's like, "It just happened." Mm-hmm. Like, this is just me. And they didn't understand it. They're like, I don't understand. But then as they got into some of the story, they're like, oh, here's his upbringing. Like, everything was always about martial arts. And they didn't even use the word fighting, which I thought was kind of interesting because he was learning like a skill. Imagine you're a young kid, you're 4 years old, and you're learning this skill, and you don't even know really what it's for. Then you're 10, somebody picks on you. You know what I mean? Like, and you're like, oh, okay, well, that's what that was. That was put a stop to somebody trying to be violent against me or somebody trying to. But Anderson Silva didn't even really know he had those powers. Really, I think as he got a little older, he started to recognize it. But I don't even think he really knew that he was like that. It just happened. It's a byproduct of tons and tons of work, and I can't think of another champion in the UFC who made it look easier. Like, that guy was absolutely, I think people forget how good he was so skilled, and he could mess around with just about anybody. And he ended up getting caught, for sticking his face out and doing too much. But, that'll happen, as you get older, you start to slow down. But it's just as a byproduct of him, putting in all that work and him manifesting a lot of these things from the time he was really young.
Yeah. Do you guys think, though, like, if you don't put a certain time date or something on it, it's almost kind of going back to the like I'm gonna try to be in shape by this day or whatever. I mean, I guess that wouldn't be the right way to put it, but like if somebody said like, oh, I want to get in shape, it's like, okay, well, what are you gonna do about it? Start on Monday, that sort of thing, because they don't have an end date in mind.
I think putting a time frame on it probably, gives you like a deadline, right? Mm-hmm. And we're used to deadlines from school, we're used to deadlines for work. But how effective are deadlines? And then how effective are deadlines for you? Like, what's your experience with them? My experience with them is horrible. My experience with them is not very good. However, having a schedule is always a good idea, but you would still have to take things day by day, and you still have to get your work done for something that is like due in 8 weeks. Like, you have to get it done day by day, and those things have to accumulate. And most of the time, people that have a deadline, they kind of wait to the end to get it done, which, sometimes that extra pressure can be helpful, but not in the case of trying to transform your body, because you don't have days. You have to do that over the course of many weeks, and same thing with strength. It just takes all these things. They take a lot of time. So I do see the benefit of, I know here at work, people have said like, hey, when do you need this by? And I'm like, I don't know. Like, how long does it take you? We don't really give deadlines. I think they can be effective because it can, for somebody who's organized, they can schedule stuff and they can say, okay, I need to schedule stuff, Monday, Wednesday, Friday in order for this thing that's due in 8 weeks to be done. But how many people are really going to be like, okay, 90 minutes on Monday, 90 minutes on Wednesday. I'm doing this at 4:30 p.m. Every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Like, the only people I know that operate like that are women. Because women are pretty, like, women, I think women are more
Ability.
organized than men,
They are.
but
They
that's
are.
probably another topic for another day.
You know, with when it comes to the body, I think this is, like you said, it's pretty tough in terms of setting up, I guess, dates, because this is the thing. Like, you hear people who are like, okay, by the time my anniversary trip comes up, I want to be looking like this, or I want to get abs by this, and if you don't do that by then, you're kind of bummed, right? Or those people are pretty bummed. But I like this is the thing. Having a deadline for your physical goal is good in the sense that it gives you urgency. You have urgency for that goal. Now you're really like, oh shoot, 6 months from now I got to be like this, so I got to do this every single day. But at the same time, it really kind of depends on like how advanced you are with this. Because to be perfectly honest, people that have like done shows and are used to that kind of know how long it'll take them. 12 weeks, 16 weeks. I can get here in 20 weeks. But if you've been doing something your whole life, being out of shape, and now you're trying to change habits to get in better shape, and now you want to look a certain way, you can't set a 12-week, 20-week goal on that. Like, you can say, I want to improve this much, but you cannot be like, I want to, it's rough to do, like, I want to have abs in 20 weeks. Okay. The better thing to be able to do is maybe set up things and habits that you want to be able to have set in by this
check
time.
those boxes, and every day for a long period of time.
Because like for a lot of us, this is going to be something that takes years to get towards that goal. And you're not going to say, by 3 years, I want to achieve this. I mean, like, you can, but at the same time, it's hard to do that. Right. And it's hard to even know it's going to take you 3 years. The rough part about it too is that for some people, this takes 6 months. For other people, it takes a year and a half. But like you have to be able to, give yourself the time to be able to do all those things. And I think when it comes to physical transformations, for a majority of people, having a clear deadline of what weight you want to be and how lean you want to be or whatever, if you don't have, I guess, emotional resilience to that, to potentially not hitting that goal, if not hitting that goal is going to like mess you up, it's better not to set a weight goal or a look goal. It's better to set other type of maybe habit goals or performance goals, right? Because all those things are going to lead to the big goal of the way your body looks.
Your body and your mind work, quite a bit differently, So I love what you're saying here because, I would love to hear somebody say something like that. If you were working with somebody and they said, I thought about this a lot and I want to look like this by this date. But then I thought about it a little bit more and I thought, what's it going to take to look like that by that date? And as I started to think about all those things, I wrote them down. And here are the 7 things that I want to try to accomplish every day in order to do that. Now, you and I, if we were talking to this person, we'd say we would not want another experience level. If they've never done anything like this before, we would say, hey, you know what? This is a fucking awesome plan. 7 things is a lot to get done in one. Like, you have a job, maybe they have a wife, maybe they have a lot of other responsibilities. Let's peel that off a little bit and let's see if you can start with maybe about two of these changes for week 1, and let's go through all 7 days, checking those boxes and make sure, the next week we can maybe add another. This is what's done in bodybuilding many times over. We're gonna pull a little bit of rice out of your diet. We're gonna pull half a cup of rice out. And by the time you get to the show, you don't have any food. You don't eat anything. Yeah. You're like, okay, I got no food. I get half a fucking chicken breast for, twice a day or whatever.
Yeah.
So when it comes to your body and your mind are different, and here's how they differ. And here's some of the stuff that Nsima and I are trying to convince you of. In the case of somebody that builds up over a period of time, we're hoping that they hold on to a lot of those habits. And we're hoping that a lot of these habits become things that they can embrace for a lifetime. When somebody says, I want to get a set of abs, that's a great goal. It's a cool goal. But they can show you those abs on this one particular day, right? So if we had somebody on the podcast right now and I said, hey, man, we heard you got shredded. I want to see your abs. And you're like, well, hold on, let me show you some pictures from a couple months ago. Right? Because you don't have them right now. And you're kind of like, damn. And when it comes to your mind, if we had somebody like Elon Musk on the show and we're asking him about his new internet. I don't know if guys know that he's got like, he's doing some internet thing. We signed up for it. I'll tell you about it in a minute. But
Seriously?
What the fuck?
yeah, he's got some like, he has like internet for people that live in the boondocks. So
Oh.
we're like one of 1,000 people or something that qualify for this thing or what, I don't know.
Sick.
But if we were to ask him about his internet service, boom, he'd be able to, he'd be able to pull it up just like that out of his head. Or if we asked him about SpaceX, or we asked him about, how close is he to get to Mars, and what's their propulsion, and how much strength does the fucking thing, or how fast does the thing need to go, at launch point to get enough momentum to get into outer space, or whatever he would know all this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
He'd be able to tell us on the fly. So are you better off being like that, being able to retain something and hold on to it? Or are you better off just looking good for like a day? And I do understand some of the goals people have. They're the 4th of July, or, they got this trip they want to go on, and they want to look good for their wedding. And so all those things are really reasonable. But how dope is it? How cool is it to be like, someone's like, hey man, let me see your abs. And you're like, boom. And you show them right there on the spot. It's like, fuck man, that guy, how's that guy always have it together like that? That ain't bad.
Yeah. I like how, you tell people to kind of work their way back. So like if, like, okay, I want to have, abs year round like Mark. Okay, what the hell is he doing? It's like, okay, he always talks about like, eating more protein. Okay, I'm going to get in the habit of eating more protein. But I'm not going to say by this date, I'm going to look like Mark Bell. I mean, good luck. But
Right.
you know what I mean? Like, I think that's a really cool, like, just goal to have. I really dig that a lot.
Yeah. No, it makes sense to set goals for the habits that are going to help you achieve the big goal. Because, I mean, if you think about it, what's going to get you towards those goals is having all those habits in line all the time, right? If you at least have that, sooner or later, might not be 12 weeks, but sooner or later, if those are in line, the goal will be reached. Absolutely. That is 100%.
Yeah, and the amazing thing is, like, you can achieve that goal tomorrow. Like, did I eat enough protein? Like, yeah, I did. Cool.
On a daily basis,
Boom.
you can hit that goal, right?
You get that little reward system every single day.
I see a lot of people like, they are like, if in football terms, anybody that understands some football, like when you run a route, you run like a pass pattern. There's people that will just like run it. Like they'll like try so hard, they'll just run it and they'll be real stiff. And there's other people that understand, okay, I have to run this route, but there's a defender covering me. There's somebody that's trying to stay close to me so that I can't catch the ball. While it is my goal and I'm supposed to run this flag pattern, which is just you running towards the pylon, the orange things that are in the end zone. So you run straight for a little while and then you run on an angle towards this pylon. Well, yeah, that's the way you're supposed to do it to a T, but you have somebody following you in accordance to the coverage and in accordance to like all these different set of circumstances, you're going to have to adjust. And I don't see enough people adjusting to things as they're going. Someone like Gronkowski, like it's just so fucking stupid when you watch it. But he is completely burning these little defensive backs in the NFL. These guys that can run 4.4 40s all day long.
Jeez.
And he's burning the fuck out of them
because huge.
He's huge.
Yeah.
He's a huge white boy. He's out there fucking throwing down like a madman. He's fucking unbelievable. He's obviously very nimble. He's obviously fast. I mean, I'm not saying he's slow. He's fast. He's very athletic. One of the most athletic tight ends the NFL's ever seen, probably. But my point here is that he's not like dedicated to this real specific way that he has to do it that way. He's utilizing techniques to get himself open whatever way he needs to for how fast he is, for how big he is. And so it's going to be a little different for each person, but I see people, they try so hard and they try just to stay on this exact path. And I'm going to do this. And I think what happens is when you go down that exact path and you do it, you try to do it with everything that you got, you eventually don't get the result that you're looking for, because in this scenario, if you were to run the pass pattern exactly right, the defensive back would knock the ball down. You wouldn't be able to catch it or he'd intercept it, because you tipped him off too early on where he knows the different routes. He knows where you're heading, right? And so you have to be, along your journey, you might have to be a little creative with how you can figure out ways to make yourself better. and you need to develop some of your own interpretation, your own ideas. If you watch Gronkowski run a route, or you watch any of these real professionals run a route, they will run a completely different route for about a second and a half or so, which is like kind of a long time, or maybe a full second. So he would run what's called a post pattern. He would run towards the field goal post for a minute. You would turn your hips. He sees you turn your hips. He's going the other way because he's not faster than you.
Mm-hmm.
He's not faster than some of these guys. He's just better than them. He knows what he's going to do. He knows how he's going to get it done. I'm sure he does like a lot of visualization of the play and how it's going to be executed, and he practices a ton. But I think as you're going down your own journey, you got to realize you got to be able to audible a little bit. And the only way to do that is you need to gain more knowledge. You need to know more about what you're doing. Having these abs on this one particular day, while it is a good goal, we've seen so many people, try so hard to aim for that goal, and then A, they miss it, or B, they have it just for that one day or just for a few hours.
Mm-hmm. It's definitely an awesome learning experience. I mean,
Yeah.
because of me setting that date last year and getting abs for Christmas, like now I'm super confident that if I needed to, like I could do it again. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Although right now, the kiddo like sleeping
Well, and
and
it
all
keeps
that good stuff
keeps you in better shape, more permanently too, though, because you did lose some fat, and while you may have gained some of it, I'm sure you didn't gain all of it.
No. And then even for the last photo shoot, I had 4 weeks, and
Oh yeah.
that was another date thing. But I do pretty good with that sort of thing.
But you see, this is the thing. You're like when we talk about people that do bodybuilding shows, that they know how to manipulate their body within a time period.
Mm-hmm.
You're at that point where you
there.
can, like, if you said right now, I think even though you have a kid,
Mm-hmm.
if you said right now, in 10 weeks with all this going on, I want to get shredded again. You can do that.
Mm-hmm.
I have total belief that you could do that because you have like you're in a better place now with your nutrition knowledge and all your habits and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But again, somebody who hasn't been doing that their whole life, somebody who doesn't have any knowledge on like all that stuff, it's tough for them to say in 10 weeks, I want to be able to have some abs.
Yeah, and you've been lifting before we ever met too.
Mm-hmm.
You've been doing some of it. You've been doing some of this. You did a keto diet, like, you're already practicing some of it. So if you told Nsima and I, hey, I want to do these 10 things every day, we would be like, yeah, he could probably maybe start out with 5, but Andrew can handle it eventually. Like as he goes down the weeks, he'll be able to do it because you've done it before.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, my birthday is coming up, and at the beginning of the year, I said I maybe wanted to do a shoot for it, but now I think I just want to do like family portraits to where I feel confident, like I'm not going to be like striated or anything, but that's what I'm working towards right now. So it's like that, like you said, like the slow and steady, consistent type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not too far off right now, so I'm feeling pretty good.
Yeah. No, I think what you were saying, Mark, in terms of Gronk, right, where he takes unconventional routes. I had this thing that I was thinking about the other day because whenever people talk about stuff as far as like nutrition science and exercise physiology and all this shit, like people always reference studies, which is great, but when like I look at a lot of things I do, a lot of things you do, a lot of things I've seen a lot of people do that are extremely advanced, doesn't follow studies. Actually, sometimes it actually spits in the face of the idea of a certain study, and it makes me think like years ago I used to be like very focused on what does the study say, because that's right, but I mean, as I started trying things that I would usually think are stupid, like training without eating or fasting for a day and then eating at the end of the day after training or whatever, I started to do things that were super unconventional. And I started to feel better and perform really well. I was just like, maybe some of this shit, maybe I just need to just try weird things that studies may say are wrong or studies may say aren't ideal and see how it works. And a lot of those things are working pretty well. And I think that everybody kind of needs to look at themselves in that way. You can use those things as a guideline, but you're not a fucking study. Like you're not, like everybody has things that work for them. So try certain things and see if they're going to work for you, because they might actually be super beneficial for you in the long run. But if you're just thinking like, oh, I can't do that, or oh, that's wrong, or oh, that's way out there, that's bro science or whatever, you'll never really know.
Right. Studies they're just suggestions. It's really what they are. I mean, it's suggesting a certain thing with a certain subset of people that they happen to test on a particular day, and who knows exactly how they came to some of their results.
You know, there was a comment that I got on Instagram about probably 2 years ago now. 2 years ago or a year and a half ago. And it was on a post that I talked about how beneficial nasal breathing has been for me and how I feel that I've been performing at a higher level, et cetera. And this guy's like, show me this study that says breathing through your nose is going to help you with your endurance, et cetera. And now there are studies that show that shit. Now there are studies that show, like, you know, that you'll be burning more fat, et cetera. But if I wasn't trying it at that point because of the information from Patrick McEwen and the guys we've had on this podcast, if I wasn't just doing it and seeing the benefits, and I was only going off of what studies say, then I wouldn't have been able to make that progress at that time. Right. It's like, don't wait for something to come out to show that it works. Just try it and see if it works for you.
Yeah, there doesn't always have to be a study for everything. I mean, you know, you think about some of the advancements that get made in certain things in medicine and in strength training, nutrition. You know, a lot of things are things that people have done first. And then, like, where does the study come from? Like, you can't make something out of nothing. So the study comes from like a hunch. Like, oh, I think that vitamin C is beneficial to the immune system. We should do a study on that. And then how many vitamin C studies have there been? I don't know what the data shows, but like, how many has there been over the years? Or even for, like, you know, now we're seeing that more with like vitamin D, right? Mm-hmm. And then what have we learned about vitamin D from studying it more? I think that's where the merit comes in, because now we know that vitamin D, I don't know if we knew before necessarily or understood all of what vitamin D could potentially do. I think we're still uncovering a lot of that.
Yeah.
But now we kind of recognize it more as a hormone, which I don't know. I never really heard anyone say that until the last like 2 years, but maybe that's been more known. But the point here is like, you don't always need a study to know. Like, the first person to stick a mirror on the outside of their car to be able to see behind them. Like, did they do a study? They're like, let's see, you know, what are our records going to show if we have, you know? It's like, no, it would be cool if I could see on the side of me a little bit better, you know? And then I think it came from like NASCAR or something. They started using like rear view mirrors too. I'm not sure, but like, usually things come from something really dangerous, you know? They come from the top down. Bodybuilding. Bodybuilders are like, let me try this fucking growth hormone from a human cadaver. That's where they came from first. Shit. Sounds insane, right? Yeah. And I'm not saying that's necessarily the best idea, but every bodybuilder uses growth hormone. Every top bodybuilder uses growth hormone. Mm-hmm. That was set forth by somebody a long time ago, having some wild, crazy idea to do it, and it worked in terms of getting as big and as massive as you can.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of these things they're like drummed up in someone's head first before they're ever a study.
Mm-hmm. Really awesome point from our boy Josh Settlage. Just saying, there's no studies that show a swift knee to the balls hurts like hell, but like, we don't need that study to know for sure that that's the case, right?
Yeah.
So it's just funny when you break it down to something simple like that. You're like, yeah.
We do need a study on that, though, because why is it delayed? You know, it takes a second, and then it really hurts.
And then it radiates into your stomach.
Yeah, you got like
kind of have to shit your pants.
Maybe like a 2 or 3 Mississippi, right?
Yeah, you feel like your ball has entered your body. Have you ever been on a bike and hit a bump?
Feels like your balls have been shoved up your asshole or something.
Yeah, but have you ever been on like a bike and then you hit a bump and then it's just you know, like I remember like just making sure that they're both there.
Can
and
we
I was
have a
surprised
better
they were.
Bike seat or something? You know,
serious. Oh my! It's been a long time since I've ridden a bike, but remembering how uncomfortable those seats are, it's just like, what?
Shit design.
Yeah. And people are like, oh, you get used to it. I don't want to get used to it.
Yeah, I don't want to.
I want to get used to all that chafing.
Yeah.
I got enough problems going on over here.
Oh man.
Do you remember on Hot Shots when he I don't remember what he did, but he hit the other guy in the nuts, and then like he coughs out like 2 walnuts.
Out. Yeah, that was amazing. That's a great movie, by the way.
Hot Shot.
Hot Shots.
Your stock just went through the roof.
Dude,
when I thought you couldn't be any more attractive, Andrew.
I've never even heard of Hot Shots. I'm sorry, guys.
It's a great movie.
It's amazing. Part 2 is even better.
It's even better.
They're both great.
What year did this come out?
Oh, it's old.
Okay,
90s. Yeah.
Sounds like
golden era.
My childhood.
Yeah.
Hot Shots. the second one where he's like he has that Rambo scene. Charlie Sheen has this Rambo scene, and Charlie Sheen is jacked in the movie.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
Dude,
he did a great job. He got pretty yoked.
I didn't know he
But
was
there's a
ever
scene in the
jacked.
movie where they're torturing him, and he's the guy's like, I see that you're impervious to pain, and he's like got like this electric shock thing on him, and they're like whipping him, and then they crank up the intensity on this thing that they're torturing him with, and they shock the shit out of him, and they're like, they look at him like, what the fuck? And he goes, I've been married, and they're like, oh yeah, and so they turn the thing up again, like even higher, and he goes, twice. There's a bunch of shit in there like that. This is stupid, silly
Most
stuff.
Amazing movie though.
Hot Shots Part 2.
Yeah, you got to check this one out, dude.
This is from Jim Abrahams, the
Oh yeah.
one of the guys we interviewed about keto stuff. His oh yeah, there, yeah, look at
Is that Charlie Sheen?
Yeah.
No way. I didn't know he was ever in that kind of shape. Good
Yeah,
for
look.
him. Oh. Okay, I see what kind of movie this is.
Yeah, it's a spoof.
Yeah, I see what kind of movie this
It's dumb as shit, but so good.
is. Yeah.
The guy loses his hat on the aircraft carrier, and he's like, we need to get that hat, and they're like, sir, how are we gonna get it? He's like, I don't know. He's like, turn this baby around. He's like, I need to go get my hat back, and they're like, a lot of aircraft carrier that could set us off track for weeks.
What the fuck?
We shot him with a chicken. Yeah, what a great movie.
Wow.
That was so good.
If you guys are listening, we're watching like some of this hot shot stuff on YouTube, so that's why we're laughing like this. Oh wow. This reminds me of kind of like, have you ever seen The Princess Bride?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's like that, like
yeah.
it's like a parody of a bunch of
Naked
stuff.
Gun,
Oh.
Airplane, all those.
That actually happened to President Bush.
Someone
like-
threw up in his lap.
Yeah, he threw up on somebody or something.
wow.
He I think he went to Japan or something. I
Oh,
think it was
God.
President. Yeah, I think it was Bush.
He would do something
First
like
one. I think it was the first President Bush.
that.
Yeah, the senior or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he like, I don't know, he like, it was just like that. Like he ate some weird thing with them
Yeah,
in Japan, and he just like barfed everywhere.
it's like the worst place to do that too, because everything's so proper.
Oh yeah,
It's like
yeah.
everyone's like, and then you barf on somebody. That's
That's not
shame
good.
on America.
That's not good.
I had a thought.
Okay.
It was when we were talking about riding
Nipple
bikes.
rings? Oh.
No, when we were talking about bikes, I just remembered how happy I felt.
Does that change? Sorry, does that change anything if it's a ring or like a bar? Like
Bike seat?
No. The nipple
rings?
piercings.
No.
We don't have to go into it, but just, it doesn't matter. Just
no, nipple piercings.
just
No,
in
it
general,
doesn't matter.
period?
Just, for men,
Yeah.
nipple piercings.
yeah, we don't have to go
Nah,
into it.
like,
but I'm just saying, like,
nah.
does that change?
I don't
just
think. I think actually a bar is worse.
Oh,
I think
okay. Huh.
like that. Ew, like, bro,
Yeah.
why do you have? You know what?
What if they're connected with a chain or something?
That's uncomfortable. Man. I don't like that.
Ooh, that's just a bad visual, man.
I haven't thought about the nipple piercing nowhere near as much as you, but yeah, if they're connected, that just gives me a little bit of anxiety. Because what if stuff gets caught on
Right?
things,
Just-
you know? Like what if they're passing by somebody and they like in a hallway or something?
That's it, man. I think we should all get nipple rings.
Oh God.
And then we
watch
should
this-
connect them all together.
This show can't get any worse, right?
Now we're just shirtless
Well-
up here with nipple piercings.
You can just hear the chains clacking.
Such a crazy idea, it might work.
Let me ask you guys because this came up when you mentioned thigh chafing on bikes. Because I remember, okay, just listen here, all right? This
I
is
want to know what's going on inside his like head, you know?
okay, totally random thought. But I remember when I was younger, right? When I played soccer, I always had big legs, and you know, when you're going shopping for boxers and stuff, you never like really understand that you can get boxers that are a little longer on the thighs so that your thighs don't chafe together, right?
Oh, that makes a big difference.
I always went, I always like every day I thought, do I have to go through this pain of having red thighs and having to walk like this awkwardly? But then when I discovered performance boxers when I was like 14
Like
or
Under
15,
Armour or something like that?
Yeah.
Change your life.
I
Yeah.
was so like, I was a new man.
Mhm.
And like ever since then, it's like life has been good. But I
I
just
feel
remember,
like hugging you right now. I've been
right?
through the same
You went
thing.
through the same thing? Man, it's tough.
Yeah.
It was so rough. Because my
rough
mom
out
would
there.
always get me these boxers and be like, I'd have to like put like baby.
Oh,
But
like,
we have big asses too, so
Right?
they ride up your butt and everything.
Yeah.
But it was just like always like
Shoot.
swampy, you know?
Oh,
Like
yeah.
that's like the best. Like it's like, why is it so humid down here?
Yeah.
Like this,
Get
am I
some-
broken?
Get some air down there or something.
Gross.
Mhm.
Yeah, boxer briefs. Is that what you mean? Like the performance
Yeah.
boxers?
Yeah, but they're like, you know, they cover each side of the thigh, so you can.
Mhm.
My thighs do rub together when I walk, like a little bit.
I'm starting
but,
the fire.
Yep.
you know, but it's not uncomfortable anymore. I just remember I was so happy when that happened. So, for all of you who've gone through this today, we're all in this together. We're all in this together.
Yeah, you've never sang on the podcast. You say you have that you have sangeth in the past.
I've sang in the podcast before.
You played some instruments, right?
Yeah, I played clarinet, sax, and piano.
Guitar?
I practice guitar now,
Hmm.
but I wish I kept playing the clarinet. If I
You
buy
dig
one,
it?
I could probably. Huh?
You dig some of it? You
Guitar's
like it?
fun. The
Yeah.
guitar is really
Yeah.
fun.
Like, do you still like the guitar? Sounds like you were messing around with it more recently, but what about
Yeah.
the other stuff?
No, I stopped. So I was so stupid. Like, I played those instruments for years, but then when I got to high school, my mom gave me a choice. She was like, "You can keep playing these if you want to." And I at that time, I was like, I thought it was lame, so I stopped.
Mhm.
Yeah, nerdy.
And I just wish I didn't, because
Yeah.
now I'm just like I could pick up the clarinet again, but the piano would take work. So I think I'm probably gonna in a few months I'll probably get another clarinet and just practice it, just because the finger stuff, that muscle memory is there. I played that for like 8
The
years.
piano sounds like it'd be kind of I mean, you have to have a piano.
Oddly,
They're
yeah,
huge.
that, and oddly enough, like the piano, the muscle memory for me personally did not stay there
Mhm.
like it did for clarinet fingering. I thought it would, but it didn't.
Hmm.
So, and I honestly didn't find the piano as fun as an instrument as the clarinet and the guitar.
Guitar is
Really?
really hard, right? With
It's
your,
hard,
getting your
yeah.
fingers in a position and like getting them trained for it and all that shit.
But for
Always-
me personally, it's more fun.
Yeah, I feel like every time I try to hold some of the chords, like I get like carpal tunnel. Like I can't like.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Like okay, I guess I'm not
It's
playing
just
that note.
it's just insane how difficult. You're like,
Mhm.
how did people make such great music?
Oh,
When you watch videos of guys on the guitar and their fingers are moving around,
Just-
that finger dexterity is just
just jamming.
absolutely insane. It's
Yeah.
beautiful.
It's crazy.
I
You
wanna-
said Jake is improving at it pretty quick, huh?
Mhm.
Because he just really
Yeah.
likes it.
He plays it a lot. Yeah,
That's sick. That's really sick.
Yeah, he loves it.
that's that interest, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's one aspect. You have time? Oh
Yeah, we
time.
got plenty of time.
There's one thing I wanted to talk about, because you showed me the Muhammad.
I'm gonna pee and come back.
Okay.
There
All
you
right.
go.
So I'm going to mention this. I'm going to talk about the Muhammad Ali thing, so you know what I'm talking about when I get back. But Mark showed me this video of Muhammad Ali, and Muhammad Ali was one of those fighters who would predict like what round he'd take out his opponent and all that type of stuff. And I didn't know that Muhammad Ali did that 17 times successfully.
I didn't know that either.
You think, yeah, like you think about that, you could see like a fighter does that once or twice, okay, but 17 times this fighter said, I'm going to take him out in the 5th round, I'm going to take him out in the 6th round, I'm going to knock him out, whatever. He's done that 17 times. That's got to be a little bit more than coincidence,
Mhm.
right?
I wonder how many people were taking bets every time he would call him out. Like,
Exactly.
he's been right 16 times in a row
Yeah,
or
but
whatever, you know.
yeah, but like we were all talking about this thing, you know how Tony Robbins has that whole reticular activating system thing, where let's say that you're focusing on something, and then like over time, the actions that you take and the things that you pay attention to are all geared towards that thing,
Mhm.
right? Now, you remember Conor McGregor, how like he'd always say, I'm going to knock out this guy at this point. And like the whole thing about the way that he predicted his fights,
Mhm.
like that was legit. Like he managed to do that. But I think that there is an actual real focus to that, or there is a reality to that. It's not just luck, because these guys have an immense amount of focus on beating this opponent by this time. So number one, all their training is geared towards beating that opponent by that round. But then in the fight, because they've been paying attention to that specific goal so long, for a long period of time, now Conor goes into the fight, he's fighting, and he's taking action subconsciously that's going to allow him to beat that opponent by round 6. Mark, we were talking about like the Muhammad Ali thing you showed me. And what I was mentioning was that like these guys, they're focusing on that. I'm going to beat this guy by round 6 of this fight, round 7 of that fight. But by focusing on that for so long, when they get into the fight, and even through their training camp, but when they get into that fight, subconsciously, they're fighting in a way that's going to allow them to fuck their opponent up by round 6.
Yeah, right.
And-
yeah,
and-
round 3 and 4, they're probably taking some measures. Maybe you know, maybe they are working their way backwards. Maybe some of these great people have kind of thought about this and they're like, well, I thought the guy was going to kind of gas out by this round. So therefore in the third round, in order for that to happen, I got to work the body. I got to hit the guy with some shots to the gut, or in an MMA case, maybe you got to try to take the guy down a couple times, make him spend energy in areas where it's not a strength for him.
Yeah.
And so you can manifest these things. And I think, you know, the law of attraction, I believe in it very strongly. I do think it's something that exists. I've always been very fortunate. I don't know exactly what it is or was that my parents did or said, but I've always been very confident in myself. I always thought I would turn myself into some sort of success. And when I talk about success, I really mainly mean just in the sense of financial gain, you know, more so than anything else, because all the other stuff is like, it's hard to determine. It's hard to have measures of that, right? And anyway, I think my parents like believed in me enough, or believed in me more than I believed in myself, and did so for long enough that it led me to start to believe in myself. And then when I was able to start to dream and start to have some bigger ideas, I started to really think about those things a lot. I put a lot of my attention on those things. I always thought that lifting would turn into something. I didn't know exactly what it was going to turn into. I think most people that have probably invented a product probably never sought out to do that, but they just ended up doing that. Just ended up being something that just happened. But because that has happened, now I'm an inventor, right? And so it's actually way easier for me to come up with an invention now because it's already out there in the universe, and then it's already done well. So I have like proof of concept. I have like a pat on the back. I have like encouragement. So when you put something out in the universe and you start to get a little encouragement for it, I mean, imagine Conor McGregor training for a fight, and his coach is like, dude, like you're a couple weeks ahead of schedule and where you normally are. Like, this guy's in a lot of trouble. Or in this case, Dustin Poirier, maybe this is the second time you're fighting Conor. We know what he can do. Like, you got this in the bag. And maybe he didn't want to say how he was going to beat him, or, you know, each person's a little different, but I bet you that Dustin Poirier really knew that he was going to beat him, especially because he faced him 6 years earlier, and he probably had a lot of good insight. But if you watch Conor McGregor, I think if you just type it on YouTube, like type in Conor McGregor law of attraction, and you'll find some videos on him where he's speaking, and you actually hear him in a couple occasions. It's this edited video of many different situations where he's talking, and he's talking from the time he's very young. He's talking about being the greatest to ever do it. Yeah. I mean, he's talking in a way that only Muhammad Ali has really ever. Yeah, I never heard anybody else talk that way other than like Ali. And yeah, McGregor. But also you'll hear McGregor occasionally change what he's going to say. And I think that he's like self-editing out the negative talk. And every once in a while, the negative talk or this other side, this more rational side will like pop in, and he'll fucking kick it the hell out. He'll be like, nope. And he'll change his dialogue. I remember there was a situation where he was fighting in Vegas. He had to be there. I think they have to be there like a certain amount of days earlier. I don't know what the rules are at the moment with UFC, and I know they got like Fighter Island and stuff like that. But at the time, you had to be in Vegas like a couple days earlier, and he didn't agree with the rules. He was pissed off about it. He voiced his opinion about it. I don't know if it was like via social media or where he did. But then they came and interviewed him about it, and they were like, "Hey, so what's the issue? You know, like, what's frustrating you?" He's like, "Nothing's frustrating me. The fight's right around the corner. I feel great." And they're like, "Well, you had some comments about how Dana White is running this, and that you have to be here early, and you're frustrated about that." He's like, "I'm not frustrated." He's like, "I feel great. Like, this is going to be a great fight. I know I'm going to win." And I'm enjoying Las Vegas. Like, his whole tone, he did say those things. He did think those things. Yeah. But he's like, this doesn't serve me at all. Yeah. You know, I'm going to be caught up in being a crybaby about the rules that everyone has to follow. Right? Like, we can all feel that sometimes, where you're thinking that you're thinking that this sucks and this is unfair, but then if you actually really think about it, you're like, no, this is the same rules everyone else has to play by.
Mm-hmm.
Why am I so special? And so I think he rationalized it in his head, and then he wouldn't allow the media to run off with any of that negative stuff because that would be all the headlines and all the press. And so he just diffused it all.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think so. At that time, he was still, I think, training, overseas, and then he had to be back in the States to do like press conferences and stuff. And he's just like, nope, like I am, I am who I am. So there's no need for me to need to sell this fight, by getting interviewed. Like I need to focus on training, because I think this was after he lost to Diaz. I'm not sure exactly what happened, or maybe there's multiple occasions of this happening, but he was just like, no, I'm going to make sure I win this fight. So I'm not coming and doing your press conferences and stuff like that.
Who is the greatest interviewee of all time? Who's the greatest person to ever be interviewed?
Greatest person to ever be interviewed?
Yeah, the greatest interview you guys ever heard in your life.
Mike Tyson said some shit post fights too, but
My balls was hot.
That was good.
that was a
That
really
was
good
really
one.
good.
It was good, but I don't think
I gotta give props to Marshawn Lynch.
Oh,
I haven't seen it, sadly.
Oh man, he's all he says the whole time is, well, because he missed a lot of things where he's supposed to be interviewed when it was like around the time of the Super Bowl.
Mhm.
He just wouldn't show up to them, and they're like, "This is unacceptable. You have to show up to him." They started fining him, and then so he would go to these things, and then he would just say like, "I'm just here so I don't get fined," and they would still fine him. And then every time they asked him a question, no matter what they said, he said, "I'm just happy to be here."
Oh yeah, I remember that.
And it was just so, I was like, this guy's fucking awesome.
yeah. He said he had like anxiety towards being interviewed or something like that. But
In that other interview, when he talks about running over a motherfucker's face, have you seen that?
No.
Have you ever seen that?
No.
Nsima?
I haven't. I have to watch
we'll
it.
check it
You
out.
gotta play it.
Okay,
You gotta play it. It seems like it's fake.
Okay.
Running over a motherfucker's face.
Oh man, he's the best. Like he goes out and like hangs out in Oakland and shit. Like he's fucking.
Oh god.
He's amazing. I love Marshawn Lynch.
And then I also like
Beast mode.
Yeah, beast mode. Marshawn Lynch, but no interview, right? I'll have to find it. But also Rasheed Wallace, same thing. He would get thrown out of games all the time. He would get fined by the league. And,
Pistons, right?
yeah, that's where he won a ring with the Pistons. But when he was playing for the Blazers, when he got drafted, when he started to kind of going down that road of being like a bad boy of the NBA, they interviewed him and he just kept saying both teams played hard. Like, oh, what did you think about the way they executed it? Both teams played hard. He got fined like crazy for that one too.
Jeez.
Yeah,
I think when we had Nick Wright on the show, he talked about prepping for a big lift, and he talked about having some anxiety for the lift. And then right before he did the lift, he'd actually think about it, this is kind of interesting, but he would think about missing the lift, and he would think it through a little bit, because he'd have like spotters there, and he's missed lifts before, so he's got some previous recognition of what that looks like. And sometimes when he's training, if he's training by himself, he'll have the safety hooks up in the rack and stuff like that, and he's gotten out of all these situations totally fine. So he'll picture it for just a second, and he'll think about it, and he'll think like, this is what I don't want to have happen. And he'll think it through, but he's also saying to himself, even if it does, it's not really a problem. You got people spotting you, you got people supporting you, and if you miss a lift, so be it. And then he kicks himself into the mode of like, no, you're gonna make this lift, which is kind of interesting. I haven't really heard too many other people talk like that, but again, it's whatever's gonna work best for you.
I think this is it. It was on 60 Minutes Sports.
Is this the one?
I think so, yeah.
Let me turn it up.
Beast mode.
Ways Marshawn Lynch is who you think he is, right? He lives his life the way he ran the football. It's straight ahead, it's blunt. I'm going to say what I want to say. I'm going to use the language I want
run through somebody's face.
There it was.
I'm going to use the language I want to use. I suspect interviewing Marshawn Lynch isn't altogether different from playing against him. He comes right at you.
If you just run through somebody's face, A lot of people ain't gonna be able to take that over and over and over and over and over again. They just not gonna want that.
Think there's a deeper metaphor there?
Run through a motherfucking face. Y'all know why I'm here.
It's almost like by saying,
You think there's a metaphor for that? Run through a motherfucker's face.
Over and over and over. I wasn't sure when he was going to stop saying over.
I know, right?
Damn.
But you know he's visualizing that, you know, before the game. He's thinking about that. He's probably getting fired up and excited about that. Like, they can't stop me.
Yeah.
You know, he must have been thinking that run against the Saints or whatever. He just killed the whole team like
he
5
crushed
times over.
everybody. Yeah, he was an animal.
It's a scary man.
Run through a motherfucker's face.
Oakland.
Oh, God.
Representing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you know, I think you know, this is some really good content that we went through today, and the law of attraction is definitely something that you can manifest. I think maybe where some people might get a little mixed up is they might have some dreams that just maybe they're not things that are feasible, you know. Maybe they're not things that really make sense or fit in with what they're doing. But some stuff I've been looking at recently is from I'm kind of forget. Abraham Maslow, and anybody that wants to check some of the stuff out, just look it up on YouTube, or you know, he's written books and all kinds of different things. He's the one with the Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Man, that guy was so much more brilliant than just the hierarchy of needs thing, which is fascinating in and of itself. But a lot of the principles and a lot of things that he talked about were really interesting. And one of the things that he talked about was, it was his belief and some other people's beliefs as well, that people were more scared of living than they were dying. And what he meant by that was, people are usually scared of dying, you know, when they're getting closer to death. Mm-hmm. And every once in a while, I think someone who's in their 20s and 30s, like, you might think about it for a little bit and be like, fuck, that's kind of scary.
Yeah.
Or you hear about someone dying from cancer or something, and you're like, man, I don't want to die in a hospital and be there for 30 days and have it drawn out. And you might think some of those things. But what he meant by people are more scared of living was that people are scared to step out from the crowd and to do things at such a high level that they're so different from everybody else. Yeah. And if you think about it in these terms, there's the crowd, right? And then there's a subset of other people that decide to not play the game. They don't do all these things that are societal norms, and maybe they end up homeless. Maybe they end up addicted to drugs. So those people end up being quote unquote weird. Those people end up being outcast, right? And then we have people on the other side of that, where you get like a Vince McMahon, you get a Jeff Bezos, you get these billionaires, right? You get these people that are on the other side of that, and those people are weird. And so the point is that a lot of people just feel more comfortable living within the confines of being a little bit with the crowd, rather than, you know, stepping out and being bold and being brave and doing things so differently. All of us have the option to be leaner. All of us have the option to be stronger. We have a lot of options in front of us. Where we can take them, really hard to say. How far you can go with them, genetically is you know, who the hell knows? It's hard to determine, or hard to know any of that. But I think that people that are trying to self-actualize, and people that are trying to live a life that they feel is better for them, they feel like heading in this direction is going to serve them better, then I think it makes a lot of sense for you to really focus in on living your life, and really trying to, and working towards specific things that, you know, when you check these boxes, it's going to advance you. Yeah. Going to continually advance you. And again, you might want to be careful on how obsessed you get with that, because you can throw yourself really out of whack and really off balance and end up with your own issues that way. But I thought that was really interesting how, you know, when you put it into that context, it does kind of seem true that people may be more scared of living than they are dying.
An example of something that people may think of that are out of whack, but when it comes to, I guess, the height of this person's goal, it made a lot of sense. Tom Brady sent his family away I don't know if it was a few weeks or a month or so before the Super Bowl. He sent his family to go live somewhere else so he could be alone.
Right.
That seems crazy and messed up to some people, but with how big of a goal that is, it fell in line. Right. So I'm not saying that you need to be doing stuff like that to get in shape, like whatever, but I'm just saying, like, if you do have certain goals, there's certain things that you may have to do.
Right. It's going to be a sacrifice, right?
Yeah.
Want to take us on out of here, Andrew?
I will. Thank you, everybody, for checking out today's episode. Sincerely appreciate it. Appreciate everybody on the live stream. You guys were freaking awesome. Please make sure you guys check out the Power Project newsletter. Links down in the description below and or the podcast show notes. Please make sure you're following the podcast at Mark Bell's Power Project on Instagram. And shout out to Element for sponsoring today's episode. Make sure you guys head over to drinklmnt.com/Power Project. My Instagram and Twitter is at I am Andrew Z. Nsima, where you at?
Thanks, Daddy. And Nsima Inyang on Instagram and YouTube, and Nsima Inyang on Twitter. Mark?
At Mark Smelly Bell. Strength is never weakness. Weakness is never strength. Catch you guys later.